well, plays well for them, so they can stay, strong and going. Now, the Nairobi Stock Exchange, this, of course, we must remind you, is the oldest stock exchange, starting in 1954 as the East African, stock exchange. Of course, it is the leading stock exchange in East Africa, and it is offering world-class trading facilities for both its local and foreign investors looking to gain exposure to the country's rising economy. The BWAS is based in Nairobi. That is the capital of Kenya, and it's one of the fastest growing economies in the sub-Saharan Africa. And the Nairobi Stock Exchange operates under the jurisdiction of the Capital Markets Authority of Kenya, and is governed by an 11-member board. And of course, in 2014, consequent of its successful IPO to raise 627 million Kenyan shillings, it was able to demutualize as an exchange and became listed on its own stock exchange. And in 2008, in order to provide investors with comprehensive measure of performance of the market, the Nairobi Stock Exchange All-Share Index was inaugurated there, and it is the benchmark index for the BWAS. Now, the Nairobi All-Share Stock Exchange Index is a market capitalization weighted index. Best value is 100 as of January 2008, comprising of all the listed securities, effectively the benchmark index of the Kenyan stock market. And in 2011, together with the FTSE, that is the London Stock Exchange International, the Nairobi Stock Exchange introduced with the FTSE NSE Kenya 15 and the FTSE NSE Kenya 25 indices, which are designed for the creation of index tracking top 25 index, 25 companies on the index. And that is, of course, the index we're going to look at right now and see how it has played out. Now, of course, it has hit some low of about below 125 points. And last 24 hours, it actually rose to by about 0.28 points. That is a 0.24% increase in value for the market there. Now, the gainers were 14, the top gainers, and the bottom losers were about 8. And yeah, we're going to look into the data right there, but there were 14 gainers and 8 losers. If you remember, by yesterday, they had about 15 gainers, 15 losers, and almost it was a leveled field. But right now, we can see a little bit more companies gaining in value, including the Nairobi Stock Exchange company, which is, of course, the exchange, but demutualized and now is a listed entity on the BWAS, gaining by about 3.55% just over the last 24 hours. So we are going to look at the market and see how the market prices are. Remember, the Nairobi Stock Exchange trades in about 4 main segments. That is the main market segment, the alternative market segment, and of course, fixed income securities segment, and the growth enterprise market segment. The first 3, as we already mentioned, are those that are actually focusing on enterprises that are well established, the big and medium-sized enterprises, while the the bigger companies, the smaller companies, are on the growth enterprise market segment. And of course, we are looking in Uganda at that as well. The Capital Markets Authority actually tried to put up something similar, but not many people have shown interest. And so if you're a company out there and you would love to get listed on the exchange and gain capital, you have very good books, you think you have a profitable business and you need more capital to expand, you don't have to go and borrow a loan all the time. You can go to the exchange right now. There is a growth enterprise segment, and that growth enterprise segment will help your business to be listed on the exchange. And these businesses, of course, will go public with people buying shares. That you will get capital and use that capital to expand, return a little bit of profit to your shareholders, and definitely you enjoy more profits yourself, but also you will enjoy a reputation. Because companies that are listed, as we see, are trusted by people. So if someone is looking for a bank, he would rather look for a bank that is listed on the exchange, because that bank shows transparency, that bank must have good books, and that bank should be profitable. You cannot be listed on the exchange unless you qualify to be a company that is promising to grow, first of all, secondly, to be profitable, thirdly, to be compliant to the rules and regulations of the government, to be tax compliant. You know, it basically builds trust to just be listed on the exchange. And it's kind of like a mark, you know, on your company that, hey, this company is a good company to invest in. So it's a good company to do business with, yeah? So, yeah, that is what the Capital Markets Authority as well in Kenya has done, coming up with the growth segment, the growth enterprise segment, helping smaller businesses to raise capital and be able to build, you know, bigger empires, business empires, and grow with time. Now, looking at the market itself, this yesterday, by the close of yesterday, Absa Bank Kenya was one of the gainers, gaining by about 0.05 cents, and now currently trades at 10.35. Actually, yesterday, by the close of yesterday's market, it traded at 10.35 Kenyan cents. The volume traded was about 15,000 shares. Then moving on to a gainer here, another gainer was Britam Holdings Limited, gaining by about 0.1. And I traded in a volume of about 6,000 shares. And then another loser, a loser was Bamburi Cement. Bamburi Cement lost by about 0.15 and traded about 2,200 shares with a price of about 32.85 Kenyan shillings. It's currently trading. And then another gainer is Cooperative Bank of Kenya Limited, which gained by about 0.15 Kenyan cents to a price of 10.9. Another gainer was about Centum Investment Company, which gained by about 0.1 Kenyan cents to a price of 9.2. And of course, there were several other gainers, including Equity Group Holdings, Everready East Africa Limited, and Home Africa Limited, as well as KCB. KCB gained back home. It also gained here on the Boaz of Uganda, that is the Uganda Security Exchange, but also back in Kenya, it gained by about 0.2. Yeah, it's a good business for KCB there. Then Kenya Reinsurance Corporation gained by about 0.02, and now currently it sells at 2 Kenyan cents and traded about 100 shares. Some of the losers were Flame Tree Group Holdings and Ken Jen PLC, together with Kenya Power and Lighting Company. And other losers were Nairobi Business Ventures. I think he led the losers from the bottom, yeah, and he led the losers by losing by about 0.39 cents to a price of about 3.62, closing at the market yesterday. Then NCBA Group Holdings, which is also a Kenyan group, you know, of companies, which has banks and other financial institutions. Currently, yesterday, by the close of the market, closed with a loss of 0.1 Kenyan cents in value to about a price of 23.75. And another gainer was the Nairobi Securities Exchange itself, which is a 0.24 Kenyan shillings appreciation in price. Now, it's very interesting. I think we should challenge the Uganda Security Exchange as well to list on the exchange, to encourage others to list as well. You know, it's a good thing for an exchange to demutualize and get listed on its own exchange. I think it really you know, attracts many people because it becomes a separate business where people are investing in it. Its books are quite open and to the public, and transparency and so many other things could increase and make the company more profitable. So the Uganda Security Exchange should also think of being listed probably on some of the exchanges in Africa. Other losers were Scan Group Limited, and also Trans-Century Limited, and also the gainer here, the last gainer was Standard Chartered Bank Limited. Those are the companies that played well on the market. The Kenyan market has 65 companies that are listed on the bourse, and of these, of course, yesterday we had 47 participate in trading. You could imagine that, 47 companies participating in trade. That is an active market there. And by the end of the trading session on 23rd of June, yesterday on Thursday, there was a total of 5,225,000 shares that were traded in 792 deals that were cracked on the market yesterday, corresponding to a market value of 120,620,624 shares being traded. Compared with the previous Nairobi Security Exchange trading day, the data shows an 85% decline in volume and 85% decline in turnover, plus 35% decline in deals. Well, everything is declining, but at least not the all-share index. But the current market capitalization of the Nairobi Stock Exchange currently stands at 1.84 trillion Kenyan shillings. And in the aggregate, I said already, 47 participated in trading, and the day closed with 18 gainers and 22 losers. Oh, the day closed with 18 gainers and 22 losers, and Standard Farhari Income Riet led the gainers at 9.29%, and appreciation closing with about 6.12%. That is the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and of course, the highest volume that was traded was 1.51 million shares that were traded in Umeme, and this was followed by Equity Group Holdings, who traded 1.07 million, and Safaricom traded 500,000 shares, and KenGen traded about 400,000 shares. Regarding the performance of the indices, the benchmark index, that is the Nairobi Stock Exchange All-Share Index, shed about 0.32 points, that is 0.27% decline, closing at 118.3 points, representing a one-week loss of 4.58%, a four-week loss of 8.31%, and an overall year-to-date loss of 28.93%. Other remarkable indices that performed were the NSE 20 and the NSE 25, as well as the FTSE NSE 15 and that of 25. Those were the indices that actually performed on the market. That is the stock market in Nairobi. There, of course, not very good, but not that bad as well. Remember, according to the rankings that came out recently, considering the stock exchanges in Africa, Nairobi came out third last among the top 10. And of course, Nigeria came out first on top with over 25% increase in capitalization and so on. And the rest came out in the negatives with declines in points and so on. And Egypt, the Egyptian exchange tied with the Ghana Stock Exchange, coming out in the 9th and 10th position after Kenya in the 8th position. The Mauritius came out there in the middle, and the Johannesburg around the 6th. And yeah, that of course depends on the reports that come in there from the statisticians. And of course, we hope the markets will play out better as the year goes on. Remember, they are facing quite a number of challenges, including inflation, including political instability in countries like Kenya, including various problems surrounding, the exchanges, having so many foreign investors in the market. And I think that's a key to very many problems that the exchanges face. Foreign investors, they're good when they're bringing in the money, but when it comes to selling, it's really bad for the country, because They buy and give companies, and then when they sell, they take back the money. That creates capital flight, and can affect and harm exchange rates. It can affect the GDP. It can affect the companies themselves and the entire exchange. So that's why we want to encourage you as a local investor to get started. Get that money you're not going to need in the next 5 years. Buy shares in Stanbic, buy shares in MTN, buy shares in something. Definitely all these companies will not stay in the same position if we start investing in them. And 2, 3, 5 years from now, we will be reaping from our sweat, as of course we enjoy the benefits of being investors. Now, moving on to another exchange, of course, we usually want to have a look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and later I'll just peep into the Nigerian Stock Exchange before we call it a day. Now, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which is the principal stock exchange of South Africa, founded in 1887, the oldest exchange in Africa, during the first South African gold rush. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange is today the largest stock market on the continent, with over 425 listings on the equity market, and quite a number of other products like derivatives and other financial products. Is the biggest exchange, as already mentioned. It demutualized in 2005 and listed on its own exchange. It, of course, has quite a number of indices, but the benchmark index for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is the J203, and it has J200, J201, J202, J203, J204, and J205, which is a total of 5 indices that monitor the aggregate performance of the market. Now, the J203, regarded as the benchmark, represents 99% of the full market capitalization of all eligible equities listed on the main board, which can be split from J200 to J202. Now, looking at the performance of the index, let's have a look at the graph and see how the index has played out for this market. Now, according to figures from yesterday's data, we had an increase in points by about 0.04% to about 22.96%, 6 points. That is a 0.04%. Quite significant for such a big buzz like the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And of course, the guest today I'm having, we will talk about the Johannesburg Stock Exchange because he has worked there and he has quite a wealth of experience when it comes to trading on this market. Remember, you're not limited to investing here in East Africa. You can decide to go on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and buy shares in some of these very profitable companies. That's why you need to know. You need to have information on who is gaining, who is losing elsewhere, because investment, honestly, is now cross-border investment. People are investing insanely across borders. So definitely we need this information. Now, looking at the all-share index of the J203, we are seeing the 65K mark being, of course, exceeded. And the highest we've had is around between June and now, from the start of June. May has the highest peak, almost reaching 80,000 points, and now right now down to around 67. That's where we are at. Yeah, but of course below 67, a little less below 67 points. But of course, at the beginning of the month, in the middle of this quarter of the month, we had a shoot of about 67.5K in terms of points. So it's not doing bad. The market is doing quite well and promising there for investors. Looking at the commodities they have on the market and the companies that have equity on the market, the gainers, we had Absa Group. Absa Group is one of the gainers who actually led the market with about 1.61. And another gainer was Altron, and we had also Afrimat. We had AECI company, and some of the losers, we had Anglo American Platinum, and of course we had also Anglo Gold Ashanti, as well as Adcock Ingram and African Rainbow Cup were some of the losers. But of course, they have quite many companies and we may not be able to mention each of them and how the market performed. But all you need to know is at least they have 425 listings on their exchange and 5 indices. The J200, J201, J202, J203, and the J205. Looking at the summary of the trading day, at the end of yesterday's trading, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange had a total of about 265,210,000 shares that were traded in about 260,000 deals, corresponding to a market value of 17 billion rand. Just in a single day of trading. Compared with the previous day, the day's data shows 4% improvement in volume and 8% decline in turnover. The market capitalization currently is 18.8 trillion. And in the aggregate, 319 equities participated in trading, ending with 128 gainers and 167 losers. African equity led the gainers with a 30% price appreciation, and Stefnati stock holdings also gained there at around 9.09%. On the losing side, Affin Investments came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of about 21%. And of course, the highest volume traded was 19.9 million shares by Orion Minerals, followed by Attack, and then Redefined Properties, as well as Old Mutual, who came out at 16.4 million shares that were traded. Regarding the performance of the JSE market indices, the benchmark, which is the FTSE JSE All Share Index, that's the J203, dropped by about 417.26 points to close at about 65,295 points. That is the the Johannesburg Stock Exchange there for you. We are going into a short break. We'll return with top stories and what is happening in the financial market world elsewhere, as well as the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, how they have fared over the past 24 hours. Of course, they're banned in Uganda, but not elsewhere, and some people are still using them. Of course, we need to monitor their performance. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.